I'm joined here by Sophia from the Don Harrington Discovery Center. So tell me a little bit about, I know you guys are celebrating 50 years at the Discovery Center. So tell me a little bit about, I guess, how the Don Harrington Discovery Center got started.
So the Discovery Center was actually started by Amarillo ISD as an adjunct to the public schools here in the area. It was staffed and run by AISD employees and meant to enhance, the public school education experiences that we had for students in this area. And that was in 1976. But in the 1980s, we actually reestablished as its own nonprofit to serve the general public as a whole and then do what we're doing today and serving learners of all ages across the High Plains, sparking curiosity.
And so I guess what was out there at the Don Harrington Discovery Center when it was first started? What was all out there?
So back in the 1970s, not a lot actually. I believe the Amarillo Botanical Gardens was established there. They had a structure, and they were originally the Amarillo Garden Society, and I believe the Bivens Nursing Home was out there from what I've read and gathered from historical data. But other than that, the medical center wasn't really well established yet. There really wasn't much else around the Discovery Center at that point.
And so I guess what was out at the Discovery Center exhibit wise when it was first started? Was it just, I know you said the theater, but what else?
So the Discovery Center started off as just the middle part of the building that everybody sees today. Right now we technically have three sections of a building, and in the 70s it was just that middle part with the Space Theater and the surrounding hall around it that we now call the Space Gallery. So it started off just as the Space Theater and the 380-degree theater dome, and exhibits all in the hallways surrounding it.
So I think some people think that maybe the theater came in later because I remember growing up and I guess I thought the theater came way later than it did, but it's been there since the beginning.
Yeah, it's been there since the beginning, and even in some of the founding documents in their planning of the Discovery Center's creation and the strategy behind how it can grow, the theater was always a part of it. And even back then in the 70s, I believe Lubbock had their own sort of planetarium style space dome as well. And with that in mind, they knew that they wanted one in Amarillo too at the Discovery Center, and they wanted it to be bigger so we could serve a greater area, more people with a larger experience.
And so I guess how has the Discovery Center expanded in 50 years? You talked about three different buildings, but tell me a little bit how has it expanded in 50 years?
Well, as part of the founding documents, they always knew it wanted to be three different sections of the Discovery Center. One side, I believe the west side, was supposed to be a life sciences wing and talking about the human body, the science of digestion and whatnot, learning about your anatomy as a person. And the east wing, I believe, was going to be natural sciences and the world around you. That kind of came to fruition over time, over the decades. We started off with the West Wing in I believe the 90s was when that was constructed. And then in the early 2000s, the East Wing was constructed as well, expanding the overall footprint to be about 50,000 square feet today. And then in the 2010s, we expanded the front entrance to have the rotunda that you now see in the iconic footprint of the Discovery Center.
That's what I remember the most is that the rotunda expansion, and there was a very big deal when that came in. So tell me a little bit about I guess the some of the exhibits that maybe what are some of the I guess oldest exhibits that the Discovery Center has? If you know, do you know some of maybe the oldest exhibits that the Discovery Center has or still has?
So that's a great question. So the Discovery Center, basically our storage is pretty expansive. The footprint you see above ground is almost replicated below ground in our basement, and that houses our camp classrooms, it houses our camp storage space, it houses our whole in-house exhibit construction workshop, and it also houses our exhibit storage and backlog and archive. And we're working with W.T. Rogers Lead volunteer group, is that correct? We're working with the W.T. Rogers Lead group of students to backlog and catalog all of our many artifacts that we have, or many exhibit pieces that we've collected over the years. I don't have an exact answer over what is the oldest. However, we do have artifacts from the time capsules in the Helium Monument that were dedicated back in 1964, and those are in our storage as we are those stewards of the time capsules now too. And I would say that's probably the oldest ones we have.
Yeah, and you touched on my next point is the time capsule and the Helium Monument out front. Tell me a little bit about the Helium Monument. I think that's kind of an iconic piece of the Discovery Center and of Medi Park, and just I think Amarillo in general.
Yeah.
I guess tell me a little bit about that monument that's out front of the Discovery Center.
Yeah, so it's actually a very interesting history. The Helium Monument was originally erected where today is the American Quarter Horse Museum off of I-40 and Nelson Boulevard. In 1982, though, it was relocated and helicopter airlifted into the Discovery Center's front door, basically. So it's been there since 1982, and it is property that is, I don't want to get the logistics incorrect. It is property that we steward alongside the city of Amarillo in making sure that people know Amarillo's helium history and our significance in, America as a whole's chapter of how we contributed to World War, industry research, because at one point Amarillo was the helium capital of the world, and that's exactly why we got that helium monument. Many other cities in the country were bidding to have it housed in their city to be a hot spot, but Amarillo won because of the Kelly family's advocacy for it. They call it Amarillo home. They were the original family that put a patent on helium transportation, and they wanted it here, and because of them, we're on the map.
And so talk to me a little bit about the time capsules that are underneath that monument as well. I guess what years have been, or what years are in there, and what years have been, I guess, opened?
Oh, it's a little fuzzy. I know in each of the Helium Monument's spires, there are different time capsules that are meant to be opened at different times. So there are 3 legs to the Helium Monument, and then the tallest spire houses time capsules that are supposed to be opened 1,000 years after it was originally erected in 1964. And then in the 3 spires that hold up the monument, there are capsules that were to be opened 25 years after its erection, 50 years after, and then 100 years after. So we've already opened up the 25-year capsules and the 50-year capsules in, I believe it was maybe 1999, probably, if I'm doing math correctly, and also around 2018 were the last 2 openings. And then we'll open another one up in 2064 for the 100-year capsule openings, and it is on the Discovery Center's responsibility list, basically, to take care of those time capsule artifacts and to make them accessible to the public, which is what we're working on now with a hopeful exhibit expansion and stuff that we're fundraising for, so people can view those artifacts that their grandparents, great-grandparents donated all those years ago and get a better understanding of why helium is so important to Amarillo.
And so the 20 that one's, I mean, it's farther away, but it's pretty cool that maybe here in, I don't know, like you said with math, like 40 years from now we'll be opening another time capsule,
Yes.
and then in a while away from that will be people, our people in our generation, later generations will be opening another time capsule.
Yeah, it feels so far away, but it's like, no, I'll still be alive around then.
Yeah.
No.
So tell me a little bit about, I guess, maybe some people's favorite exhibits that when they go to the Discovery Center, what are some of the favorite exhibits that people have when they go?
Oh, I know. I grew up in Amarillo, so I grew up going to the Discovery Center, of course. And I know there's plenty of exhibits I'm probably missing that were here over the years that other people love as well. But since I grew up in the early 2000s, 2010s, I grew up with the Amazing Bodies exhibit and playing with the ropes that represented how long your internal organs were and learning about how the human anatomy worked back then. And of course, there were the first indoor dinosaur exhibits that were just huge, massive things that took up the entire West Wing or East Wing or whatever, and then learning about birds of prey and whatnot. I can go on and on, but I really have always enjoyed, the things that the Discovery Center brings to the people in Amarillo to view, the rural communities to view, interact with, to learn from. And I know our 50th year is going to be bringing some pretty life-changing exhibits as well with our Year of the Dinos theme. So it's pretty exciting to see, reflecting on it. I don't know if I have a favorite. I know there was a bubble exhibit that I really enjoyed when I was younger and I played with my younger brother, but there's plenty to choose from, maybe too many to choose from.
Yeah, I know when I was a kid going to the Discovery Center, I remember there was one where you would have this giant pendulum, I think, in the middle of like the room. I believe it was the Discovery Center. I'm pretty 100% positive it was the Discovery Center. You had this giant pendulum in the middle of the room, and it would swing back and forth. And there was like, I think it was talking about like gravity and all of that stuff. And then you had like, of course, you had the classic like penny where you put it in the middle and it would just go around and around and around. And I think you talked about the bubble exhibit. I think that was around too when I was growing up. So that one I think is always just a classic because you got to see how bubbles work and all that stuff. It's classic. So talk to me a little bit about what the Discovery Center, how, when kids go up there today, what they're seeing, what they're experiencing, and how, again, the Discovery Center is, it's 50 years old. What hasn't changed in that 50 years?
I think we've always stayed true to our mission. The Discovery Center aims to create moments of discovery to learners across the High Plains of all ages, of all backgrounds, of all experience levels, income levels. We want everybody to have a chance to enjoy learning, to have fun learning, and spark that curiosity inside of them, no matter how old they are. And for me, the way that manifests is through our outreach programs. We're going to and I don't mean this in a demeaning way, but to the small towns, the itty bitty towns that a lot of people forget about, and giving them high quality experiences that may or may not, but most likely may change some of the lives of those students because they have never seen that before. They have never experienced that before. And they have never gotten an opportunity to leave their small town. It may not ever get to. Leave their small town to experience that in the big cities such as Dallas or New York or Chicago. The fact that we provide those experiences to the people right here in the Texas Panhandle is very important to me, and I think is something that we've done since we were established in 1976.
Yeah, and you guys do the Discovery for $1. And stuff like that, providing, like you said, kind of a cheaper way for people to still experience the Discovery Center without breaking the bank. And so what does it mean for you guys to also do that to where, you're allowing these kids and families to go to the Discovery Center, for, like we said, $1, and stuff like that?
Well, for us, it's very meaningful because in a traditional sense, not everybody loves school. Not everybody thinks they like to learn. But when you put them in an environment like the Discovery Center, when you give them a chance to even explore our nature center, Wildcat Bluff, and see that up close, finally, hands-on experience, that changes. They love to learn. They love, learning something new, experiencing something new, learning something different about the world that they didn't know before. For us, that's meaningful that everybody gets a chance to do that because not everybody has the finances or the resources to do that on their own. So by trying to cut out all those, as many obstacles as we can by cutting that cost, offering discounts, offering free opportunities to do that at the Discovery Center at Wildcat Bluff, for us, we're trying to make those experiences as accessible as possible because we know it could be life-changing for some of those kids and for some of those caregivers.
Yeah, and you talked something. You just mentioned something. Wildcat Bluff. That's a new thing for the Discovery Center as well as you guys have come together with Wildcat Bluff. So tell me a little bit about how that came about.
So it's been a little bit now, about 3 years when, 5 years. Oh, geez. So Wildcat Bluff approached us. They were a separate nonprofit entity, but had always been close partners and collaborators with us as the Discovery Center over the years, since we were established and since they were established in the 1990s. They approached us in 2021 to see if we could help them build their capacity by taking over their operations. And of course we said yes, because it is a natural partnership already. And their mission was aligned with ours in igniting curiosity to learners across the High Plains, and theirs was providing access to nature to people across the High Plains. and of course conserving the High Plains as well as a nature center. So they joined our Discovery Center umbrella in 2021, and in 2023 we officially rebranded as the Discovery Center Collective, which covers both sites, and established the Don Harrington Discovery Center more solidly as a science and technology center, while Wildcat Bluff was our nature center site where you could discover the outdoors, you could discover nature, you could discover the High Plains out at Wildcat Bluff as our secondary site.
And so, tell me a little bit about how important was that for you guys to be able to do that and to offer, kind of a new, I wouldn't say new experience, but a newer experience for people who may have not known more or who may not have known much about Wildcat Bluff, maybe have heard the name, but didn't know what they had to offer and everything like that.
So for us, it was very meaningful because, as I mentioned, we had been partners with Wildcat Bluff since the beginning, basically. It was a natural partnership. We frequently tabled at each other's events. We had a lot of similar volunteers who volunteered at both organizations and were invested in supporting both organizations' missions. So for us, it's been meaningful in expanding people's awareness of how important our ecosystem and how important the Ogallala Aquifer, which we all depend on, is not just to nature freaks or hippies or people who like to hike, but to everyone, to people who are in their office all day, to, people who don't think they're as into nature as maybe other people are, that nature has an impact on them and that they have an impact on nature as well, has been very insightful to us in how we're able to communicate that to the public, as well as getting them familiar and comfortable with the outdoors. Growing up here myself, I can probably count on one hand how many times I, with my family, went to Paladar Canyon, unfortunately, because my parents weren't very nature oriented, and also because it was a 45-minute drive without cell service and something a little scary for them because they weren't familiar with this ecosystem or what to expect out there or what to do if there was an emergency. Whereas Wildcat Bluff is about 5 minutes away from our regional medical center. You still have self-service, and it's a lot more accessible hiking trails for some of the people who maybe don't really know how to hike or haven't hiked before. So partnering with Wildcat Bluff and helping to amplify their mission, amplify awareness of what is super close to Amarillo, has been, I think, life-changing for some of our members, some of the people who have been going there for years now, and spreading the awareness, spreading the knowledge and importance of nature, green spaces.
And so, in your 50th year, is the Discovery Center going to be doing anything special? Are you guys going to be celebrating? Are you guys going to have a big birthday party? I guess what's the plan for this year?
Yes, to all of the above. The whole year. We've been planning this for quite a while now. Our current CEO, Wendy Taylor, joined on board in 2020, so right in the middle of COVID. But she saw that the 50th year was on the horizon like 6 years early and has been planning this year's events since then, pretty much. We are lined up with a full slate of dinosaur exhibits from the Imagine Exhibitions production company, and they are pretty mind-blowing to see just photos of. The first one will be up February 15th through May 10th, and that will be Dinosaurs in Motion, and they are large-scale kinetic puppets, basically, that people can interact with, move around, and have a hands-on experience with watching how dinosaurs would potentially move. And they're quite beautiful to see as well. Following Dinosaurs in Motion after May 10th will be Dinosaurs Around the World, and that'll be a large-scale outdoor exhibit that will basically be taking over our whole facility with dinosaurs. And I'm not even sure how that'll look. I just know it'll be great, it'll be big, and the pictures look really cool. The third exhibit to cap off our 50th year is going to be called Ice Dinosaurs, I believe. And that's actually a newer exhibit that's been created by the Imagine Exhibitions company. And we are the third facility, I believe, to have this on display. And it explores dinosaurs in Arctic tundras that previously researchers didn't really think was a possibility. But recent research and findings and studies have found that there were actually dinosaurs in existence in what we thought was uninhabitable tundras. And this exhibit explores what those dinosaurs could have looked like and the research that was discovered as well. And that's just what we have going on for our exhibits. Event-wise, we have a lot planned as well. We do beerology year after year at the end of February, and we're doing that again, of course, but we're putting a fun little twist on it. We will be calling it mixology, and instead of just our beer brewers and beer producers in the area, we're also bringing in local liquor distillers such as Bomb City Vodka, Happy Half Orc Meadery. It's a bit of a tongue twister. And we're just expanding the fun to be a bit more inclusive of people who maybe aren't beer lovers, but this event is going to be a blast for sure. Following that, we'll do our Cheers event over at Wildcat Bluff, which is a family-friendly event, and we have some adults-only sections that people can enjoy and live music as well. And then in September for Labor Day weekend, we are bringing back the Discover Festival, which are you familiar with that at all as a local?
I think I think I've heard it. So I'm not familiar with it, but I've heard it.
Okay, so Discover was started in 1980 something, and I think 1988, 1989 maybe, and it ran from the 90s to the early 2000s, and it was an outdoor festival on Labor Day weekend that had a finale with the Amarillo Symphony playing a hour-ish long performance and ended with a giant fireworks show. So we are bringing that back in a different capacity. We're trying to be good neighbors and not put off fireworks so close to the nursing homes and hospitals, but we are partnering with the Amarillo Symphony once again to do that live performance, tried and true to the traditional event format, and then we're ending it with a drone show as well. So it's a modern take on the firework finale, but ending with drones to tie in how STEM and art can be really aligned. And then after Labor Day weekend, we are also bringing back our Mad Scientist Ball in October. That is something that we haven't done since, I believe, 2018, and we get Facebook messages, we get Facebook comments, we get emails, we get phone calls asking when are we bringing it back. So for our 50th year, we're going to bring it back and bring it back big, and we're very excited for that. And another thing we get requests about all the time is the Pink Floyd Laser Light Show. And are you familiar with that as a local?
No, but now you're talking about Discover Fest. I do a lot of like vintage like clothing and stuff like that. Now that you're mentioning it and you're talking about what it is, I've seen shirts and hats and stuff for Discover Fest running through my head. So now I know what you're talking about.
Yes,
So
that was a huge event. The attendance records say anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 people were just filling Medi Park on picnic blankets, picnic chairs. They would tune into radio stations where the symphony would be performing on a station that they could listen to from their cars. It's a big community event that we're really excited and a little nervous to be bringing back, but I think it's going to be a good one. But the Pink Floyd Laser Light Show is a show that was in our Space Theater, I believe, in the 80s most likely, and the 90s as well. And that is a dome-style theater show that we put on in the Space Theater, and it's all along to the Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon album. It has some semi-psychedelic iconography and art and laser lights that we get a lot of requests about bringing back for the nostalgia. So for our 50th year, we're going to be doing showings the third Saturday of every month, so everybody has a chance to see it.
now I'm going to ask you a question. Are these things that are going to stick around, or are these like one-offs? Or can you answer that? Is it?
I don't think I can answer that. I think
Okay,
that's up to the
okay.
community. I really think it's up to the community on if they want it to stick around. Some of them for sure. I think Discover is going to be a one-off. It's an anniversary event for sure. That we want to make sure the specialness of it stays special and we're not doing it too often. But some of the other events will be keeping an ear out for the community and what they want.
Okay. Yeah, I remember my dad talking about the Pink Floyd thing. Remember him talking about that, saying that was something very cool to watch
Yeah.
as it happened. Because I remember him talking about that, saying that was like like concert event, like type event that you had to go watch at the Discovery Center.
Yeah, and we'll be doing it in the evening too, because we know plenty of people have stuff to do during the day on Saturdays. So the once a month in the evening thing should get, people who have work, people who want something more chill in the afternoon or in the evening. So it'll be a good thing.
Well, it sounds like you guys got a pretty packed year this year.
Yes, we do. You can definitely find something to do this year. One of the weekends at the Discovery Center if you're ever bored.
Well, and again, I guess how can people keep up with all these events that you guys are doing at the Discovery Center? Where can they find all this stuff?
So we put everything on our website, discoverycentercollective.org or dhdc.org if you want Discovery Center specific events and programs, as well as our Facebook and Instagram. Everything gets posted there. Just the Discovery Center Amarillo or Don Harrington Discovery Center will be our usernames to find.
All right. Well, again, sounds like a packed year. People keep up with everything that the Discovery Center is doing. And again, go out to the Discovery Center. Support the Discovery Center. It's always a fun place to go and have fun, whether you're a kid or, 50 years old. It's always a fun time. So, well, Sophia, we enjoy having you on and talking about the Discovery Center. So, again, head out to the Discovery Center and have some fun. Thanks for joining us here on High Plains History.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jack.